Whoa. Oh, I'm sticking together. Okay. Wow. The Ace of Swords. This is a moment for us to go deeper into our own minds, into our, and look, I just look at all the chemical symbols and all the things around the mind. And I think this is really touching on the lack of balance that we feel in this dynamic and how heavy things can be, how the overthinking can send us in so many different directions, even maybe having a misunderstanding within ourselves about what it is that we're supposed to be doing, or maybe thinking we're doing something wrong when it's really about timing, or thinking about it's about timing when we're, making mistakes. It leaves us in this place where we're constantly having to challenge our own thoughts and our own feelings. But you know what I think is most important to remember about the Ace of Swords? The Ace of Swords says that we will have a challenging beginning, but it's specifically because we will have that stronger sense of, oh, I heard that. Standing firm, knowing what we're doing further down the line. So right now, it may feel like we're being sent through the ringer and just it's all over. But in the end, especially when I say in the end, I mean when we are together with our person, doing our thing, living our lives with them, this period of separation and everything that went along with it will make so much sense. The issue is, how can we make it make sense right now? What are we missing? Oh, the star. Look at this connection with divine. Something in me, I'm looking at this and I look at it and I see at the top, it looks like headphone strings. You see how it splits into two? And it's almost like what we have to remember is that there must be some level of faith and hope that divine is listening, that divine is there, that divine hears our prayers and our calls, that divine knows what we're going through. I know that as a Christian, it's easier for me to believe that because it's kind of built into my, religious background. So I know if you're a Christian and you're struggling with that, the easiest thing I can tell you is, hey, just pray, dude. Like, what are you talking about? What are you doing? Sometimes when you're a Christian, the tarot stuff or the astrology stuff, it can really throw you off of what you're supposed to be doing. Now, for those of you who are like, well, Grace, what about me? I'm not a Christian. I want you to think for yourself here. What does if you have a spiritual background or religious background, what does your background state in your book of instruction? That's what the Bible is for us. What does your book of instruction state about connecting with divine, maintaining connection with divine, reconnecting with divine when you feel that the tie has been severed? I do believe that they're probably all going to say something similar, which is, if you find that you have been devouring too much outside of the divine space, it can be very helpful to throw yourself back into it. Some of you, the only way you know how to connect with divine is the cards, and I get that. But for those of you who that's not the case, and you're like, actually, the tarot's kind of new for me, or the tarot's kind of like a complimentary thing I do over here, but I have something then you need to get back to that, because that is where your faith is fading and you're losing hope in more than just this journey. Oh, that was it. That was it. I can feel it. If you can feel it, say, I felt that. Because that was the thing. If you have made it to this point and you just heard that, let's get into the reading, because this is what it's about for you. All right. What is that? Whoa, that was okay. It's too many cards. Yeah, one more. All right. So, as we are understanding that this journey can take a lot out of us, as we are beginning to make sense of the fact that as much as we might try to speak it, like they say, fake it till you make it, like speak things into existence, sometimes having to do that for a very, very long time and not seeing it come into existence can cause you to waver. And so this actually makes a lot of sense. I think this says that whether you were waiting on your DM, or you were waiting on some miraculous thing, or you're waiting on healing, or you were waiting on the job offer, or you were waiting on whatever it is that you are working to manifest or allowing divine to bring into your life, the longer you have to wait for anything, the more I think you're going to find yourself in a state of panic, or I don't know why, but the word loss keeps coming up. And I'm like, what do you mean by loss? And I think it's this feeling of when you lose the hope, all of a sudden you mourn something you never had. And then maybe you regain the hope and you're like, okay, wait. No, it's going to be fine. And then you lose it again and then you're mourning. So it's like, how many times have I said, this is done, this is over, it's never going to happen? How many times have I told myself that nothing's ever going to change? Because each time I do that and I settle in with it, I mourn. I lose a piece of myself. So what do we need to know? 10 of Pentacles. Wait, wasn't I just messing with the deck? Yeah, I just realized something, you guys. I was flipping the deck in my hand, and I was like, oops. And I'm looking at it, but something doesn't feel right, and that's because the deck is upside down. Look, all the rest of these cards are right side up. How did this get like this? 10 of Pentacles reverse says we don't have the foundation that we're supposed to have. And I think that many of us think the foundation that our person will bring, or whatever situation we're waiting on will bring, is the foundation, but it's not. That situation is going to build upon the foundation. So hold on, if this is reversed, then what's back here? This should be upright. Wow. You know what this says? In order for them to come and set up camp, they had to be able to secure the land first. And I think what this is asking, and this is like, we're getting a lot of 11, 11, 11, lots of ones and fours. I think this is saying, have you actually, oh, crap. And that's 14 again. Yeah, this is very much related to what we're waiting on, to what we think is coming in divine timing, to what we've been willing to compromise about, our life and everything we're doing. And I think it's asking, what is it that you kind of know still needs to be put in place? What is it that you were kind of hoping you could sweep under the rug until the miracle happened, that now you're going, okay, I get it. I'll do what I got to do. Forgive me. I really thought I was doing the right thing here, but I guess I wasn't. So, all right. Now what? So, all right, let's get an understanding of this, because I think what this is saying is this ebb and flow of energies is not going to hold you back from your 10 of Pentacles. It's not the energy. It's not divine. It is us in this case, but not in a sense, I don't think of like shame on you, but just like, hey, this feeling that you have is because you're ignoring something within yourself. I don't know if there's really a lot of work that needs to be done. It's just a new understanding, a realization, a revelation. So what do we need to clear our mind about in order to really understand this? Okay. The idea that it's not supposed to be this hard. If you take that idea and you toss it out the window, then suddenly it just is what it is and you can work through it. A lot of us today have joined in the past few years in the collective complaining. And again, we all have something to complain about. We also all have things to be joyful about. But as a society, we've decided, let's complain. Let's look at the bad stuff. And so when you're surrounded by people who are miserable, and especially if you're like really trying to awaken and think about things from a new perspective, and they're talking about all this stuff, you're thinking, you don't even know. I'm miserable on a soul level. You don't even get, And so I think this is saying, look, if you engage with the 3D people while you're on your spiritual journey, you cannot expect them to help uplift you. Not if you're needing to be healed. Now, there are some of us that are able to connect with someone and talk to them and they are dead wrong and we can still learn something. There are some of us who can experience people making mistakes or doing things and we're not affected by it. And then there are others that it's like, nah, I can't. Like, you got to stay as far away from me as possible because I know I will slip. And so this is saying it's okay. The way I can think about it is like, imagine trying to quit something. Some of you can totally identify with that. Like, oh my goodness, I'm already trying to stop drinking, or I'm trying to stop smoking. I'm trying to stop eating a certain way, or like eating sugar. I'm addicted to sugar. Imagine you decided that you're going to quit for real. Maybe not cold turkey or who knows, right? But whatever you decided you're going to quit, you wouldn't then bring sugar into your house or buy a pack of cigarettes and sit them on the top of your nightstand, or you know what I mean? Like, you wouldn't put it in front of your face. You would put it away, and you would also maybe go out of your way. Like, I remember when I was trying to learn about my eating habits in college and I counted calories for 6 months. I was actually losing weight so I could join the Air Force, so there's a whole thing behind it. But for me, it was one of the most beneficial things I ever did because in learning about what I was putting into my body, I also had to then think about what I was purchasing from the store, what I was going to keep in my house. And then, I was in college. It's like, I know I'm going to go eat out. So then I had to look up my favorite meals at all my favorite places. I realized the reason I had gained so much weight in college in my freshman year was because I ate Chipotle burritos 3 times a week. It was cheap, it was delicious. It was 2,000 calories a burrito. So, what I want you to know is there is extra couple steps that you could be taking to stop this from taking over your mind. The same way someone who's trying to quit something doesn't just say I quit and let everybody know they quit, but then they go and they facilitate a life that makes it easier. This says, what do you need to release from your mind? And I think the idea of it's not supposed to be this hard and all those types of questions are actually making you focus on the difficulties that you're going to have to endure no matter what, rather than focusing on the end goal or the good stuff or whatever. So I want you to consider, and here's some free coaching for you. I know you don't come for the coaching, you come for the when is my DM coming back? Tell me right now. That's not going to happen this reading probably unless Divine just does something magical and says, hey, psst, 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 just so you know. But what I can offer you is something really powerful. And that is an opportunity to help yourself cope with a situation that kind of stinks. My recommendation is right now, if you're willing to pause the video, if you know you won't do it later, or when it's over and you know you're going to be gathering your notebook or whatever, your scrap paper real quick, I want you to write down the top 10 phrases, the top 5 phrases, the top 3 phrases that you find yourself saying. One of them could be, it is what it is. For some people, the way they use that is not a positive thing. Maybe you say things like, oh, people suck. Oh gosh, people are idiots. I want you to write down 3, 5, 10 things or more if you're willing that when you say it, you get this weird feeling of dissonance, like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that. But then something in the back of your mind goes, that's true. And you go, yeah, that's true. People suck. I think that that's going to be your first step. Because if that's what you think just off phrases that people around you have said that you've kind of brought into your world, God only knows what else you think and you say to yourself, or put out into the universe that you are bringing back into your life, or that's just, again, diverting your focus from the good to the bad for no reason. So first things first, let's change the way that we think by getting rid of things that open up pathways of thought that just aren't even helpful to our situation. What about emotionally? What do we need to understand when we're feeling, whether it's rejected or neglected or left out, or when we're feeling like divine is toying with us? Like, there's a lot of different things that can happen when we're on a journey where the destination doesn't seem to be getting closer, okay? What do we need to know? Seven of Wands. If you keep looking back to the past, if you keep looking back at what was, if you keep looking in your rear view behind you, you're going to miss the opportunities that are in the present moment and the opportunities that lie ahead. In fact, there's going to be a lot of different things in your life trying to force you to think about these things. Now, here's what's really interesting. You've probably seen me using this deck for like the past year. This is a card we see all the time. We always see the Ten of Pentacles. I don't really remember these cards. I mean, I think we see the Seven of Swords a lot. Like there's a few cards in here that I really remember. But I think this is interesting. I don't remember this at all. I kind of want to read what it says because I know we haven't. So let's look at the emotional space. Oh, it opened to Six of Swords. Cups, Pentacles. Let's read her. Oof. Defending yourself, being attacked, being misunderstood, a need to erect energetic boundaries, a lack of preparation, and giving up. Wow. This is where I think focusing on the past and the bad stuff can bring us into a space that says, yeah, this is not where, like, where I'm at right now and where I've been is not good enough. So I'm just going to kind of hang tight until I get to where I'm going, and then I'll try to be happy. And it's like, you guys, no wonder some of you, when you hear that you might have to wait for a reunion, freak out because you've decided that you won't be happy until then. Or maybe you haven't decided that you won't be, but you believe that you can't be until then. So this says, haters. They'll emerge only after you've made it to your perch, whipping their wands about and asking you to defend your accomplishments. And I think this might be saying you spend a lot of time emotionally dealing with the energies of others, what other people would think, what other people have going on. And that's a part of your past self and your past nature. Your new nature understands that there is so much to be thankful for right here where you are, and that attitude of gratitude can bring that forward. And also that where you are headed, you will do so many good things. There's so much there waiting for you. Your future self is incredible, and they're waiting for you there too. So it's like, yeah, it's funny how we think about the people or the addictions or it's just like the icky situations that are, it feels like tar, really thick tar holding us back. Have you ever seen that movie Fern Gully? I think it's Fern Gully, where there's like this icky tar monster guy and he just kind of like, just like grabs everything, and it's just like that. There's this feeling of stuff from your past pulling you back, and it really is, I think, what keeps your attention. What is it that you need to understand? Mindfully call feelings of love and well-being into your body and create a protective bubble of energy around you. Remain synchronized and aligned with your bright vision and reject any low vibe, negative states that others may be pushing. So, what did I say? Our society has become a society of complainers. If we focus on the negative, if we focus on what makes us unhappy, even though the truth is, a lot of us, we're not even miserable people. I am not going to front. I've got some clients who are self-proclaimed miserable people, and they'll say, "No, I've always been like this. I've just been through too much stuff, and I'm too old, or I'm too this, or I'm too that." And you know what? We get on the phone, we hang out, we chit chat, and it's fine because that's just who they are. I think the people who are really unhappy with the miserable energy are the ones who are not even like that, who would have never been called a, negative Nancy or a Debbie Downer in their life, and now they just find themselves leaning into it and says, hey, it's not your fault. The whole world's acting like that. And you've got this divine, counterpart situation going on and everything with twin flames on top of your regular troubles in your world. It would make sense that you would just kind of try to block yourself out from it, but then also kind of by doing that, get yourself stuck in a bubble of it because what you focus on is what you focus on. What you focus on is what you get more of. So this says, look to the brightness of the day of where you want to be. Look to the destination and start to walk in it and embody it like you're already there. What is the greatest challenge of this season? Queen of Wands. Look at this. So do you see this? The one wand that sticks out. It's almost like every time she goes to look at this wand, she gets distracted by the past. But if she were to grab it, it would then allow her, wow, it's almost like this is the same person, to release herself from the bubble and to open herself up to the light, to the fire that's inside of her. Look at the fire in her belly, and now look at the fire in her hand. She got distracted by what felt like other people's opinions and other people's thoughts about her. And she got distracted by what she saw in other people's lives. And she got distracted even by this feeling of, I've been fooling myself. I've been lying to myself. I don't even know what I'm talking about. Is love even real? Am I ever going to really have a person? Love isn't really guaranteed. And you start to go down this negative path. And it says, again, if you want this, you have to be able to build upon it. And if this falls to the wayside every time you have a bad thought, then that means that you're missing the foundation for it, and you're not going to be able to build upon that, and then you're not going to be able to build upon. It's like basically telling you that if you want this fullness of life, you have to kind of reach this foundational, like grounding, what is that, like root chakra energy here? Like you have to kind of ground yourself in the physical world that you're trying so hard to avoid, and then make it beautiful in your little bubble that you've made. But that's the problem here. She's protecting herself from the outside world. Her bubble doesn't really have anything in it. She's stuck in one spot. And I just feel like this is telling you your greatest challenge is going to be to grab the wand and to take the fire and to realize that when you light it, that the fire will stay. What I mean by that is like, who was the first person to realize that you could light a wick in a lantern of oil and that it would stay lit? That person was a brilliant genius. Do you understand? Like so it's like you are having this moment of like this genius where everything around you suddenly lights up. Your whole world just changes because you're willing to grab a hold of something that has been trying to get your attention. But like I said, it's like every time she started to look at this, like, what is this? Her mind went straight to the thing that stood out even more, which was the past, the voices screaming in her head and telling her she's not enough, or telling her that, someone's coming for her, or whatever. So this is so heavy because the truth is a lot of it does feel like it's about our twin flame and our journey. But the reality is that it's our whole world. Our whole world is just heavy right now. So, okay. We can see we've got to get out of our head, and then we need to get out of our bubble, and then we need to get out of the dark. What is it Divine really wants you to understand about building this foundation of happiness so that you can then put another foundation of abundance on it? Should I call it foundation or just something stable? And then build upon that this kingdom of doing the things that I think you really do want to do deep down. Deep down, a lot of you really do want to help. You do want to make the world better. You want to change the community that you live in, or, the people who, the way that they think. You want so badly to show people the way. But what you don't realize is without a staff, a torch to carry you through, you're not leading anyone out of darkness. You're just going to keep getting caught. You're going to keep getting stuck. So what does Divine want you to understand is the torch, the divine spark, the truth that will help you shine above all else when all this stuff seems like everything's going wrong, and your journey is just tearing you apart, weighing you down, or even worse, doing all this stuff to uplift you, and then pulling the rug out from under you when the deadline passes, or when the next communication kind of falls off. It's like, what does Divine want you to understand? Wow. So this is weird because, whoa, hold on. Actually, this is really weird. Okay, so there's a couple things. Number one, we see Eight of Wands, and this right here is Eight of Wands. Okay. And I think this is telling you that your mind is kind of under the control of your physical addictions in your world, and then fear, okay? But your emotional space is really what is responding to the challenge that has been placed in front of you. So if you can get a hold of your emotions, you can probably do a pretty good job dealing with how your mind handles the world. But here's what's interesting. This comes together and says, this is the dot that must be connected. I just sat here and told you about lighting a wand on fire. Well, guess what? All 8 of these wands are lit. And the point of this is not the regular 8 of wands where they go flying through the air, but I believe the point of this is one of these wands was lit with fire, and everybody put theirs in the middle so that they could all light off that same fire. And I think what this is telling you is the feelings that you've been having, the emotions that you've been having that have been causing you to kind of be a little bit low. A lot of you think it's your divine masculine that you're feeling, and sometimes maybe that's true. But if you were designed and destined to do some great work with your divine counterpart, I'm so sorry, but Mr. Lightwork has been singing downstairs this entire time, and my brain, I know I have ADHD, y'all. I'm struggling so bad right now. I just wanted to say it to somebody because I'm trying so hard to keep it together. Um, oh my gosh, I wish he screams, sings at the top of his lungs when he sings. He's not in the shower right now, thinking, so you can't hear him. But oh my gosh, I almost want to like take you guys down there, but then I probably would get copyright striked. Okay, Grace, focus. Can you hear him? Like every time I try to get, he's been singing the entire time I've been doing this reading, and I finally broke, I think. Okay. Oh, okay. Here it is. If you believe that you were destined, designed, and created, thank you, God, to um, be so connected to this person, like your twin, that you're, because you're one and all of this, then that says more than just like, oh, we're twins, so we're connected. To me, that says you believe in energy, right? Our energies were separated, and yet we can still kind of sense each other. And okay, okay. I'm sorry. I think he's like standing right outside the door or something at this point because it's louder than before. That's why I'm struggling. If that's true, I'm so sorry. I feel like y'all can hear him, and if you can't, I'm trying to be quiet so you can. Then that means that there are people who you are also energetically tied to. If you guys believe in soul contracts and soul ties, and you believe in all that kind of stuff, energy exchanges, if you believe in energy and you believe in cords, then tell me how there is not a cord connecting you to every single person that you are destined to help in this lifetime. So, what I'm saying to you right now is if this person that is your twin needs you, maybe you feel them, sure. But that means that you probably also feel all the other people in your life, or in your I won't call them in your life because some of you might not know them yet, but in your world, in your energetic field, and you can probably feel them, waking up in the morning and feeling sad. You can probably feel them going through a trauma. You can probably feel them because that's exactly what happens to someone. That's how someone ends up becoming like an activist for a cause. They feel the pain. Maybe they've been through it themselves, or they saw it and they just could not unsee and let go of that injustice. That's the big picture of how it happens, but it starts off small, and I believe it starts off young. Even like when you were younger, you did not like when certain people got treated certain ways or whatever. I just have a feeling that this is saying you believe that ascension is about something that looks a lot more like this than this. But this is ascension. This is light work. And what I'm afraid of is that because you've gotten caught up in the world of complainers and, we are more selfish than ever. At least here in America, we breed narcissists every day. Again, I cannot sit down and blame any individual person if you are caught up in the matrix, if you're caught up in the system, if you're caught up in, whatever, and you don't know how to think for yourself, if you've never been trained to discern things that are clearly bad, or there's nothing that we can do, and we should not judge these people. But what we can do is make sure we don't become one, and that we're available to those who would like to step out. And I think what this says is when your eyes are closed, remember we saw that justice card and her eyes were closed, but the reversal was her eyes were open. I think this is saying when you step into your Queen of Wands, you step into your Queen of Pentacles energy, when you come into this energy of being a lot more positive about what it is that you believe you're here to do, and how your day to day can flow, and all of a sudden you're going to start to feel like, wait a minute, there's something I'm supposed to be doing. Oh, I need to go do this. This person needs my help. You're not going to feel so bogged down by, I think, this kind of spiraling into the abyss and the pain and the sadness and the fear. And it's a lot. It's a lot. It's overwhelming. And it's a trap, I think. It's going to put you into a position that you cannot get out of. And I don't want that for you. I think that this is telling you if you've been feeling like you're in a tower moment, you're going to have to go to the star. That's the next step forward. Get out of fear and into faith. And the faith has to be in something or someone. If you don't have faith in God or something like that, then, I would not put my faith in my person, maybe, if I don't find them very, faithful or trustworthy. But maybe I could put my hope in myself that I can get through this, or my hope in the people that I'm supposed to help, that even if I don't get to have the life I always wanted, maybe I can help someone else do it. Whatever you have to do to get yourself out of this belief that everything is going to fall apart and just be terrible and never get better, that's what must be done right now. This reading found you at a point where there was a lot of confusion about the situation that you're in, about your circumstances. There's a lot that you're kind of expected to just pretend is not happening, things that you're supposed to sweep under the rug. And yet all those things are still in your head. There's no denying it. There's no getting away from it. Basically, we are told as a people nowadays to join the conversation that's already existing, already happening, or shut the fuck up. And it's like, well, what if I don't want to sit around and talk about the stuff that you guys are all talking about and agreeing about in your echo chamber? What if I feel like that's just a cyclical conversation that's never going to accomplish anything and I actually want to do better? Well, guess what? The world's going to tell you to shut the fuck up. And your job is to say, okay, I'll be quiet. Only you're not actually going to be quiet. You're just not going to talk to them, and you're going to go talk to the people who want to talk about the things you're trying to talk about. How is that not an echo chamber? Because as a discerning light worker, you're not just going to go find a bunch of people to agree with you. You're going to find a bunch of people who say, hey, something's up, right? Something's wrong, right? Well, they're thinking it's this, they're thinking it's this, they think it's this. Maybe we don't have an answer, but maybe we can start to look at the people who are struggling and figure out what's really going on. Find like-minded light workers. Find people who are fully aware that the world's messed up, but also aware that there is something we can do on a small scale in our own space. We may not be able to fix everything or everyone, and that's probably not our job or our destiny, thank God. But we can do something where we are. And for some reason, the twin flame journey, outside of like Ascent Tarot and maybe a couple other readers, I guess, I don't know, I've never seen them myself, but outside of this space, it's kind of just like, yeah, just sit around and keep watching tarot and waiting for your divine masculine. Yeah, click all my videos. Make sure you're watching every day. Click. I don't hear people come in and say, oh yeah, I have a reader who always talks about light work. People say, oh, so and so mentioned it once. Cool, I guess, that maybe a card came up where they couldn't help but interpret it that way. But I'm talking about a ministry of it, guys. I'm talking about people who believe that the enlightened of the world are meant to enlighten the world. If they do not believe that, they are not enlightened. And I hate to talk like that because I come from a background where I learned very young Don't talk about the people doing the bad stuff. Let them expose themselves. But unfortunately, on YouTube and the way the algorithm works, and kind of promotes more and more and more and more and more of whatever you watch, they give you as closest to that video as possible. It's like, I don't know how to express to you that you may have gotten yourself into a loop in your life and divine is just having you break out. Okay. I don't know how to express to you that what you think the journey is about, which is very depressing, it's not what the journey is. I don't know how to express to you that so many of you still haven't healed your trauma from relationships, your trauma from your families, your trauma from, some like sexual thing that happened. Like, there's so much stuff that you think you've healed from that you haven't. And that's not an insult to you. That is simply telling you there is better than what you have right now, than what you feel right now. And I don't mean in the tangible, I mean inside you. And if you find yourself slipping into negativity a lot, and you are willing to turn off the TV, turn off the tarot, turn everything off for 3 days and test it and realize, you know what? It may not be just the TV. Okay. It may not be just the people I hang out with. There's probably something in here that I need to address. If you're willing to do that, then do it. But if not, let me just point out to you that something is up and it can be fixed. And when you're willing to try, divine is going to give you everything you need to do it. Okay. All right. I feel like I can't, I feel like I can't keep going because I feel like every time I start to get a message, this singing is making me lose it. So you know what I'm going to do? So you know what the worst part is? He didn't even notice that I was standing there. He is so wrapped up in that. He did not even notice that I was standing there that entire time just now. Didn't even look over. I feel like I just walked upstairs and he started singing louder again. I can't tell if he's messing with me. All right, guys, I gotta go. I love you. Bye.